They were carrying something, or someone. If the old man was right, there could be more bodies hidden beneath its dark waters. Daniel's pulse quickened as he reached for his camera. A shot rang out.
Welcome to Story World, where every tale comes to life. Dive into thrilling mysteries, heartwarming tales, and spine-chilling legends. Subscribe and embark on an unforgettable storytelling journey.
The Silent Disappearances. Officer Daniel had built a reputation for being one of the most determined officers. When he was transferred to the small, sleepy town of Millwood, he had no idea that his dedication would soon uncover a chilling mystery. From the moment Daniel stepped into the Millwood Police Department, he realized something was off. His fellow officers were indifferent, unorganized, and more interested in coffee breaks than solving cases. Files were scattered across desks, reports were incomplete, and evidence lockers seemed barely maintained. Daniel took it upon himself to organize the neglected case files. As he sifted through the paperwork, he stumbled upon a set of missing person reports, each one detailing the unexplained disappearance of a teenager from Millwood over the past 5 years. The most unsettling part? None of the cases had been solved. Worse, it seemed like no one had even bothered to investigate them properly. Daniel began studying the details. The victims, 5 teenagers, all between the ages of 16 and 18, had vanished. They had all been last seen near the dense woods on the outskirts of town, yet there were no official search efforts recorded. Determined to uncover the truth, he started retracing the steps of the missing teens. He spoke with their families, teachers, and friends, all of whom shared a similar frustration. The police had never truly investigated their loved ones' disappearances. Digging further, he discovered that each teen had reported seeing a shadowy figure lurking near the woods before they vanished. Then, Daniel received an anonymous tip. An old man living near the forest claimed to have seen something the night the last teen went missing. "They never left town," the man whispered. "They were taken." The old man's hands trembled as he lit a cigarette, his eyes distant as if he were reliving something horrifying. He took a slow drag before speaking again. "I saw them. Every one of those kids, and I saw who took them." Officer Daniel leaned in, his heart pounding. "The night the last one disappeared, I was sitting on my porch like I always do. It was late, past midnight. I heard rustling near the woods. At first, I thought it was just the wind, until I saw headlights flashing for just a second. Then they turned off." Daniel scribbled notes furiously as the old man continued. "I watched as a van stopped near the woods. 2 men stepped out. One of them was big, broad-shouldered, and the other, well, I couldn't see it, but I could tell he was younger. They were carrying something, or someone." The old man exhaled sharply. The kid was still alive, but barely. He was struggling, weakly. I wanted to yell to stop them, but then I saw what they did next. They took him toward Hollow Lake. The officer's heart sank. Hollow Lake, the same place where the 3 boys had been found. "I know that lake, officer. It's where people dump things they never want found." The old man's voice wavered. They weren't just kidnappers. They were getting rid of them. Daniel's mind raced. He had read about Hollow Lake before. It was deep, surrounded by thick, twisting trees, and rarely visited. If the old man was right, there could be more bodies hidden beneath its dark waters. But there was something else that unsettled Daniel. "Did you recognize them?" he asked. The old man hesitated before nodding slowly. "One of them. The younger one. I've seen him before." He looked Daniel straight in the eye. "He wears a badge." Daniel froze. "A cop. Someone from the very department he now worked in." The investigation begins. Back at the station, Daniel locked himself in his office and pulled up every missing person report again, this time searching for connections. The pattern was there. The disappearances were too organized, too clean. Each victim was last seen near the woods, always at night, with no witnesses. He dug into the department files, searching for officers who had worked during those nights. There weren't many. Millwood was a small town, and the force was stretched thin. But one name kept appearing. Officer John. John had been on duty the night of every single disappearance. He had written some of the reports himself, and most importantly, he had transferred to Millwood 6 years ago, just before the first teen vanished. Daniel's stomach churned. Was John the younger man the old man had seen? There was only one way to find out: a dangerous plan. Daniel needed evidence. If he was going to take down John, he had to catch him in the act. He set up surveillance near Hollow Lake, parking his unmarked car deep in the woods. The nights passed in silence until one fateful evening. A van, dark-colored, rolling down the dirt road toward the lake. Daniel's pulse quickened as he reached for his camera. The van stopped near the shoreline, and the driver stepped out. The figure was tall, muscular, wearing a dark jacket. He left the headlights on but opened the back doors of the van. Then another man stepped out, younger, wearing a police-issued holster on his belt. Officer John. Daniel snapped photos, his heart racing. The two men dragged something heavy toward the lake, wrapped in a tarp. Daniel reached for his gun. He had enough proof, but if they were about to kill someone, he had no choice. Freeze! Hands up! For a moment, no one moved. The air was thick with tension. Then, suddenly, John lunged, reaching for his gun. A shot rang out. John collapsed to the ground, clutching his shoulder. His accomplice surrendered, raising his hands in defeat. The truth uncovered. Backup arrived soon after, arresting John and his partner. The investigation revealed everything. John had been working with a drug ring, using Hollow Lake to dispose of teenagers who got too close to their operation. The other officers in the department? Either clueless or too afraid to speak up. When divers searched the lake, they found more bodies, more victims. But thanks to Daniel, the killing had finally stopped. Millwood would never be the same again. Neither would Daniel. As he stood by the lake one last time, he watched the dark water ripple in the moonlight. The ghosts of the lost teenagers would never truly rest. But at least now, they had justice.